For our members, it's also a matter of making sure that any developments in this proposal are undertaken within or are available to public scrutiny, are taking place in the open, and so far that has not happened. That has not happened. So there was a public meeting back in March of last year, but since then there has been no further updates, no further engagement in any meaningful way with the public, and in fact all of the stories that broke last week only came to light due to a Freedom of Information response. So the public aren't being involved, and South Ramsey does have a history of power being taken out of the hands of the people for developments and cooperation between government and finance that have led to some pretty catastrophic decisions.
Yeah.
So we exist to make sure that this process is dragged out into the public so that we can scrutinise it. So if it's something that is going to go ahead, it has the backing of the townspeople that are being kept fully informed, because at the end of the day it should really be our decision what happens to this free public amenity, what happens to this landscape. Will we allow it to happen? And the only way we can allow it to happen is to make an informed decision, and so far we are not being engaged with in any way whatsoever. The decision's being taken out of our hands and we're not being kept informed. So that's one of the primary focuses of Save the Bay, is to try and make sure that it's taking place in plain sight.
If we look at what legislation and what regulation is there, this scheme would not be a viable scheme at all. This is a marine conservation area. This area around here is a historic heritage conservation area. The pier is a listed structure. The scheme is not only talking about the foreshore, it's actually going out into the territorial seas. They would need to have a licence granted for that, and because it's in the marine conservation area, that you would expect to be halted. There's all sorts of environmental acts that exist that actually I've spoken directly to a couple of people in the UK to do with coastal management, and they've just said it should be on paper alone, it should be an absolute no-go. So to me, as Jeff has said, it's all about making sure that those regulations are used in the right way, and that we make sure that the scrutiny is there.
I live 16 strides. My wall is 16 strides to the beach. I don't want it because the man himself said from Mezeron to the church, or perhaps a little beyond, it's going to be a housing estate, hotel, cafes and what have you. So it's going to be a concrete jungle, and then the marina is going to be further up. I don't mind a few bouncing boats, but I don't want to be then put into what would absolutely be a service road to service the concrete jungle.
What do you think is the misconception perhaps about the developments so far that other people might have around the island, not just in Ramsey?
Well, people think, it's going to be all right because it's going to be down on the beach. But little do they realise it's going to be raised up. It'll be the same height as the road. And I don't think people can visualise the enormity of it.